Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's professional development session entitled Humanizing Your Online Course. This is probably one of the most important sessions we do because this is a huge factor in student success and retention in online courses. So what do we mean here? Well, it's all about connection, human connection with your students in an online course. This is particularly challenging in online courses that are mostly or completely asynchronous, where you never or seldom meet in real time with your students over Zoom, where they can see you and hear you speaking and so on. Or, a hybrid course where you meet with them in the classroom part of the time, and then they do some of their work online. But in a fully asynchronous course, this can be really challenging. The students who are taking an asynchronous online course are starting off from particularly if they're new to it, are starting off from a standpoint of psychological isolation. It feels like they're out there doing everything by themselves. There's nobody else around to talk to share their concerns and their joys and their questions with. And this is an extremely tough thing for students to work through. It tends to lead to increased student attrition in online courses. This is probably the single biggest factor, the single biggest reason for why the retention rates in online courses have historically been slightly below those, at least slightly below those in face-to-face or classroom-based courses. And there are a lot of things we as instructors can do about that to minimize those issues, to make sure that the students feel our human presence as instructors in those courses. And this whole concept has been codified by a group of online educators, one of whose leaders is Michelle Pacansky-Brock, faculty member in the in Cal States, and a lot has been done by one of her disciples here at the district, Katie Palacios, over at Mesa in their faculty center, is a colleague, a long-term colleague of mine, not an old colleague, not yet though. We're both a little older than when we met, but we worked together for close to 10 years in online learning pathways before she moved over to Mesa, and she is quite an authority in this and quite an influence in humanizing, the concept of humanizing online courses, and a great resource if you happen to be at Mesa. It all comes down to communication, communicating your concern for your students, your caring for your students, your interest in your students' success. It's something that's a lot easier. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. The students are in the same room with you. They see you, they hear you, they see your body language. That's 70% of communication that is nonverbal. And it's much easier to communicate your concern for your students than it is in an online course where they may seldom, if ever, see you. That's not ideal, but it certainly been a lot of asynchronous online courses that have been run that way. And that's the reason this whole concept of humanizing, or this whole concept of making sure that our students see us as human beings and feel our personal presence in the course has become so important to us. And this whole idea of humanizing your online course has been has come to the fore. Oops, just a second. I lost something there. Pardon me a moment. Oh, that's wonderful. Chrome decided to update at that moment. And there we are. Finally, sorry, I brought something up on a new screen. In communicating with our students, our goal and making sure that our students feel our presence in the course, the first thing we need to do is, and by the way, a lot of the concepts in this presentation, and especially this slide, are what's the term, quoted, borrowed, stolen from a website whose link you see on the bottom of the page there. How and Why to Humanize Your Online Course by Professor Pacansky-Brock. And when I'm looking over here, right, I'm looking at my notes I've taken from her materials, but I very much recommend that website to you. This slide deck is available online, and I'm going to send you the link to it here in a moment. I just rebooted my computer just before we started here, and it looks like it lost a couple of things. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to put the link to this slide presentation in your chat tool. There it is. You can click on that. It'll open up in a web browser window, and you can bookmark it for later. This is a wonderful resource for the topic that I'm covering today. A lot of these ideas came right out of this document. But the first thing you need to establish in an online course, in any course, is trust. Getting your students to understand and to believe that you are, first off, a human being and not just some web robot out there, that your course is not just running itself, and that no humans, untouched by human hands. And there are a lot of ways you can do this, of course, but one of the best ways is telling stories to your students about your own life, or your sharing personal experiences and so on. This is a great way to establish your humanity. We also want to make sure that the students feel our presence in this in an asynchronous online course through frequent communication of all sorts. Canvas messages, emails, if you prefer to do it that way, Canvas announcements, on the tools that we'll talk about in Canvas here in a minute that you can use to implement this. But the students need to hear from you. And certainly the best medium for communicating with your students effectively and personally is simple instructional video. And we'll spend a lot of time today talking about that particular implementation of humanizing your online course. But there's a lot you can do other than video as well. We certainly want to impress the students with our awareness of who they are, what their challenges are, what their goals are, what their needs are. And again, by communicating with them through these many tools that we have available to us in Canvas and in other tools that are other systems that we have available to us. We need to both possess and demonstrate empathy for the challenges that our students are facing and the particular challenges of learning asynchronously, or at least partly asynchronously online. This is one of the reasons, maybe the best reason, why everyone is asked / required, depending on your exact, the institution by whom you're employed and their exact policies, but almost everyone is required to take our online faculty certification training course. And probably the main reason for that is to provide you with the experience of being an online student in an asynchronous environment. That's the best way I know to make sure that you do, in fact, empathize with your students because you've been through it. No one who's not taken an online course, an asynchronous online course, can really appreciate the feeling that the students have about that process. So it's a worthwhile exercise for that, if nothing else, quite apart from learning the nuts and bolts of Canvas and the techniques of online pedagogy and so on. Just getting a feeling for what your students are going through in an asynchronous online course is priceless. And don't be afraid to try things that might fail in this regard. We all have way deep down somewhere in our psyche is this idea that we need to appear perfect to our students to maintain their respect. And that has probably prevented more good ideas from bubbling to the surface than any other single factor. Take care, George. Thanks so much for stopping in with us. The perfect in online education, more than just about anywhere else in life, perfect is the enemy of good. You will not be perfect. You're not perfect in the classroom. I hate to tell you that. You all know that. Lord knows I've created more than my share of imperfections over the years. But letting that prevent you from reaching out and really trying to connect with your students would really be sad. Students appreciate the crashes as well. It's like watching NASCAR, and everybody waits for the crashes. It is definitely something that you do not need to pursue. Perfection, that is. So if it seems like a good idea, try it. And for goodness sakes, don't worry about over communicating with your students, especially in an asynchronous online course. Asynchronous, of course, I should define that term, meaning that you and the students are not online at the same time. You don't occupy the same time space necessarily. And the course is delivered partly or primarily through the Canvas learning management system. And when we do surveys of online students and ask them what they liked about their course, what they didn't like, and so on, the number one complaint we get, which is sometimes justified, but often not, but they complain anyway, is that they don't hear from their instructor enough. They don't get enough attention from their instructor. They don't feel their instructor in the course. And no matter how much communication you do and how much attention you lavish on them, it'll never be enough. But I guarantee it won't be too much. So, just keep in there, keep swinging. And even the most shy and the most recalcitrant, the most reactionary of students will eventually come around in most cases. So all of this is designed to make sure that your students don't feel like that online course is on autopilot. Okay, even the silliest of videos can have an impact in an educational experience. From the movie Airplane, for those of you who are too young to remember that. All right, so great. These are wonderful goals, but let's get down to brass tacks. How do we do this? How do we project ourselves? How do we make our presence felt in our online courses? Well, one good possibility, one way to start that is a particular idea of Professor Perkansky-Brock is the Liquid Syllabus. This is a means of communicating with your students before they're even your students. I mean, we know what a syllabus is, but what makes it liquid? Well, what makes it liquid is that it is, first off, not just this dense blocks of text on a document that students have to read, but it's more open. It's got graphics and video and all sorts of communication, or all sorts of media in it, I should say. And it's available to students before they sign up for the course. It's publicly available online and accessible, so students can look at this while they're shopping around for trying to decide what course they're going to take or which section of a particular course they have to take that they're going to sign up for. Oops, went too far. A little more on how we can create a liquid syllabus in a minute. We also have numerous and fairly simple to use engagement tools in Canvas that we'll go through and talk about. But above all, we're going to be talking about instructional video today. And for those of you who've been to my seminars before, that's not going to be any surprise to you, because you know I'm a passionate believer in the value of instructor-created instructional video. And we're going to talk about some of the ways you can apply this in an online course to humanize it, and a little bit about the nuts and bolts of how you can do it. These videos can include intro videos to your course. You know, hi, I'm your teacher, the kinds of things you would do the first day in the classroom. You stand up in front of your students the first time and introduce yourself and the course material and so on. And bumper videos, periodic videos that you, similar videos that you send to the students at different milestones in the course, where you are just keeping in contact with them, reminding them that you are there, that you're watching, that you care, and giving them an idea of what's coming up. Course tours, showing students how to navigate and how to use the tools in Canvas in your particular Canvas course are really, really valuable. a video that shows the students how the course works, where to find things, what to do if there's a problem, and so on. Live and recorded lectures. Even if you're, if the course is completely, if it's coded online async or asynchronous, means you can't require the students to show up online at a particular time. Doesn't mean you can't offer them that opportunity. You just can't make it so they have to do that in order to pass the course. So you can offer live help sessions, live full lectures if you want to, normally through Zoom, though we're starting to see more people use Microsoft Teams for that and so on. The Teams will be a supported app at the district very soon. They're rolling out Office 365 to all faculty with Teams included. Zoom, of course, is the video conferencing solution we've been using, I'm using right now, that we've been using for years now during the pandemic, especially to communicate with one another and with our students. But, and it's one that is currently supported at the district. They're both good choices, but providing these live opportunities is a terrific way to humanize your course. And you can record them and put them in Canvas so that students who don't choose to attend them live can still make use of them. And that you're perfectly entitled to do, even if your course is coded asynchronous. So you can't force the students to show up at a certain time. And this is, tremendous value instructionally, but also the students get to know you much better and get to feel your presence much better. It's an automatic humanization of your course. You can also create micro lectures or video learning objects that cover particular parts of the course syllabus, particularly the choke points in the course. You all know where those are, the concepts that students always have trouble with, and that may, and if they don't master those concepts, will dog them for the rest of the course. They need that information. It's something they always have challenges with. Those are the places to start applying little micro lectures and putting those in Canvas and making them available for your students to watch on demand whenever they like. And a great way of expressing your presence to your students and your concern for them is video feedback on assignments, where you go over their assignment submissions with them and praise what they did right, and gently point out what they need to improve and give them suggestions for doing so, and so on. And doing that in a video format has two tremendous advantages. One, it's much more personal and much more effective. It's like having the student come in during office hours and sit down with you and go over their work. And in fact, it's easier and quicker, generally, once you master the technique, than typing out feedback for your students on writing assignments or other types of assignments that need that sort of feedback. And we'll talk about how to do that. And of course, one of the big tools for that, and for all of this, is Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Flipgrid is another wonderful tool that I'll just mention. We don't have time to go into it in much detail today, but Flipgrid is a video discussion tool, which is free, which you can embed in your Canvas course. And this gives you the option to very easily post periodic video communications for your students, but even more importantly, it allows the students to talk to one another that way and to talk back to you that way. So it gets everyone into much more of an environment, or an environment that's much more similar to what they'd have in the physical classroom without them talking while you're trying to lecture. So let's start off with a little bit more detail on the Liquid Syllabus. It's a publicly accessible course information site that welcomes your students. That means the students don't have to log into Canvas to get it. They don't have to be enrolled in the course to get it. It's an information that you can include in the description for your courses in the course schedule, or you can provide it to your to someone who might be interested in viewing or taking your course, and they won't have to wait until they've registered for it and gotten enrolled in it in Canvas. Indeed, they won't have to wait until the first day of class, which is when the first time normally that they would be able to access your Canvas shells. It's not necessarily just excuse me, just a rehash of the syllabus that you're going to put in your Canvas course anyway. It's the welcoming, engaging, informing part without all the boilerplate and the warnings and the threats and things like that that you're required to put into your syllabus, your official syllabus. So it's the good part of your syllabus. There are lots of good examples online of Liquid Syllabi. I sent you a moment ago a link to this slide deck, and this link is live in that slide deck if you choose to look at that. Let's pull up this page here. Share it with you. This is from a website that Professor Pacansky-Brock maintains. Here are some great ones. Okay. That almost makes me want to take calculus again. Almost. I survived once. I don't know. One of the greatest feelings walking across the stage at graduation as an undergraduate was knowing I never have to walk into a calculus classroom again. Sorry to any mathematical or any mathematicians who are here today. But this is something that can be extremely reassuring to students. It can also be motivating, particularly if you have a course that you sometimes struggle to fill. This sort of thing can be a tremendous marketing tool. And there are numerous examples, good examples of Liquid Syllabi to sort of get you started there if you're interested in doing this. Creating a Liquid Syllabus is also a guide for that. I don't have time to go through this in great detail, but this is another section from that same course that we were looking at a moment ago. That's Dr. Pacansky-Brock. That takes you through the process of creating a Liquid Syllabus in a particular way. It's not the only option for creating Liquid Syllabi. And indeed, you should use what works for you. But the critical idea here is that the Liquid Syllabus is publicly accessible, that students don't have to have a login to get to it, and that anybody can view it. So you can host this a number of ways. You can put, so that this of course means putting it online and hosting it through the web. There are a number of ways you can do that. Maybe the simplest one is just to do it through Canvas. A very simple option is to request a blank Canvas shell, a so-called development shell from Canvas support, which you're welcome to do at any time. You can have as many as you like. And you can just use that Canvas shell and create a module for your syllabi for different courses and put links to the syllabi, your normal syllabi for various courses that you have to prepare anyway, into a module in Canvas and make it publicly accessible to your students. You say, wait a minute, it's in Canvas. It's not publicly accessible. Students have to log in. Well, there's a nice little secret about Canvas. If I go to my own Canvas account here, and you can do this just as easily as I can. Once I log in, you can go into your Canvas course and go to settings in the course menu, if you're familiar enough with that, and go and scroll down in the settings or the course details tab on the settings page. And there is here a setting for visibility, which you probably never really looked at before. And there are 3 options for accessibility. And normally that's set to course, so that only students who are enrolled in this course can access this shell. And they have to log into Canvas to prove that they are, that they have the right to do so. But you can set the availability of your of a Canvas course to public, so that anyone who has the link for the course can access it. All they need is the URL for the course that you get by clicking on the home screen of the home button in your course menu. And this URL right here, which you can copy to your clipboard and paste into a document, into an email, whatever, would give them direct access into that Canvas shell, and they could go in and they could look at your syllabi. Or you could set up a, kind of a shadow version of your Canvas shell for that course. Copy the content from your teaching shell, and once you get it set up, into that course, and then just, massage it. Take out the things that they don't need, like the assignments and things like that. They don't need to know about that necessarily, though. You could show them the assignments as well if you wanted to. And you could make this publicly available, and it could be a very rich, information-rich site for students who might be thinking about taking your course. And you can use that like as a liquid syllabus. If you don't want to give that kind of access to students, you can always do it as a, oops, I meant to edit that slide. As a, I'm saying Google Slides here, but we're really supporting PowerPoint now, since we're rolling out, or IT is rolling out Office 365 to all faculty, or is in the process of doing so. And everyone will have access to PowerPoint. And we'll probably want to consider that, though you can do this equally well with Google Slides if you're familiar with that and you're used to working in the Google environment. But you can create what amounts to a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation that you can share with your students that contains the information that you want to provide to them in the Liquid Syllabus in a much more palatable form than they would get in a traditional syllabus. So let's see, I have one of those, an example of that here. Just a second, let me pull that up. There it is. I can't present this one at the same time I'm presenting the others, so let's just go through it in the edit mode here. So this is just a simple series of slides, but it's a much more engaging, hopefully. It's certainly more media rich, a lot more color, a lot more visual interest. And you can provide the critical information that you want to provide to students in again, a much more media rich and palatable format. You can be more engaging. You can.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Introduction to Screencasting. Screencasting is about the simplest multimedia production.
So, you right off the bat, you're establishing your credentials as a human being. And it's something they can see before they decide to sign up for the course, see if they like the look of you or whatever. And then just a series of slides. And these are very easy to create. You don't need to go through a learning process or an extensive learning curve to learn how to create a website or whatever. In effect, this gives you a fairly familiar tool in most cases. So many of us use PowerPoint or Google Slides in our instruction anyway. This allows you to leverage your knowledge of those tools and to create something a syllabus, quote unquote, or a welcoming introduction to your course without having to learn a whole new environment. Most of the Liquid Syllabi, however, that I think all of the ones in that list of examples have been created as websites using a free website creation and hosting tool that is available to anyone, Google Sites. I don't have time to run through the process of creating a Google site, but that's what's under this how to create a Liquid Syllabus link here. Okay, so you have, if you're interested in getting into Google Sites, and this is something you could use for other purposes as well, so it's worth learning. Google Sites makes it possible for anyone to create and manage a website, their own website. So it's a great skill to have. There's lots of things you can accomplish instructionally and personally and professionally that way. Just to show you what Google Sites looks like when you start and how to get to it. Easiest way to get to it is just to pull up a web browser, go to the location line and type sites.google.com. You do have to have a Google account, which you already have if you use Gmail or YouTube or Google Docs, Google Drive. But if you should not happen to have a Google account, all you have to do is web to accounts.google.com. And if you don't have a Google account or you're not logged, if you don't have a Google account, it will prompt you to log into one. And if you don't have one, it'll give you the opportunity to create a Google account. It's totally free. It's not going to tell Google any more about you than it already knows. Trust me, Google knows more about you than you really be comfortable with, but there's almost no way to avoid that in this day and age without going and living as a hermit on top of a mountain. And with the new satellite internet and so on, that's not even a sure thing. So if you don't have a Google account, you can create one and then web to sites.google.com. And to create a new website, all you have to do is click the Google plus sign, the multicolored plus sign, the rainbow plus sign. and start the process. It takes you by the hand. You just fill in forms and do things, and they give you all sorts of help and so on. And that presentation by Professor Pacansky-Brock will also give you lots of information on how to create your own Liquid Syllabus by using a Google site. All right. All ways you can do this. Beyond the Liquid Syllabus, there are great humanizing tools just built into the Canvas learning management system that you probably already know, most likely you already know how to use because you've had to take the online faculty certification course. The simplest one, and maybe the most important one of all, is your ability to put a profile image into Canvas, so that when you send a message or post in a discussion forum, or if you allow the students to see the roster in the course, they click on your name, they'll be able to see you. And this is extremely simple to do. We just go to Canvas and go to our account link in the global access menu on the left-hand side of the page, and go to your profile in that menu that slides out from the right. And there's your profile image. To change or upload a profile image, you just click on the pencil icon that appears when you mouse over that image, or that circle if you don't have an image there already. And you can either upload or take a picture live. Okay. Uploading a picture is very simple. You just choose a picture from your that you have stored on your in a digital photo file on your local hard drive. I'll use my alter ego here. When I was young, I looked terrifyingly like Alfred E. Newman. I'm given a preview of what it's going to look like, and I can crop the image so that it appears the way it should. Then I just save it. And my profile image appears in just a moment. Yoo-hoo, Canvas. Taking Friday morning off. Let's just move away and move back. It is taking its good old time here. There, it got it, I think. Huh. I don't know why it's taken so long. That's interesting. Canvas is apparently having a senior moment, so let me, I can understand that. I can take a picture also, but it's not communicating with my camera either. What is going on? Let's see here. And I just rebooted my computer. I'm not sure what the issue with Canvas is there. There's one. I can crop out to where it's just me there. So you can use almost any image in which you appear. All right, we'll come back in a minute and find that there, presumably. Okay. Thanks, Canvas. You can also create in your course a course homepage. This is not something that Canvas does for you automatically. Let's go back and see if Canvas will will cooperate on this particular item. All right, we'll just go to a shell here that I don't think has a home page. Oh, it does. Let's see. At least it's cooperating. There we go. There's one without it. All right, this is the default view of a Canvas course for students when they first enter it. They're shown the modules tool and your list of instructional resources and the links they have to click on to work their way through the course, which is a good default. I mean, these are the facts they need. This is the core of the course, but it's not real engaging and it's not real welcoming. What you can do, on the other hand, is to create a Canvas page, which would be the first thing, which can be the first thing they see. You go to the Pages tool, and let's see what this sample page looks like here. Nope, that's blank. So we'll just create a new page. We'll call this course homepage. We'll maybe insert a picture of ourselves. Try that again here. We'll upload an image. Try to get there. It got Alfred that time. We'll submit that. Maybe center. And the title of the course. And spell check it. And center it and bold it and make it bigger and so on. And then just keep going. You can put with using the rich content editor in Canvas, you can put just about any sort of information you'd like on your course homepage, but we're just going to do that much and save it and publish it so students will be able to see it at the same time. And now we're going to view all of our pages, including this one we just created. And for this page, I'm going to go out to the right here, and I'm going to click on the context menu for that particular page in Canvas, the 3 vertical dots. And I have an option in that menu to use this as my front page. And you say, I'm done. Oh, I got a course homepage. Well, not quite. If I go back to home here, which is going to dump me the same place as the students are dumped when they first enter the course, I see that I'm still seeing the modules and not the course homepage. So what did I not do? Well, I didn't go to this option here under the home link and select choose homepage. That should really say choose entry point or course entry point, because there are 5 things that you can cause to appear for your students when they first enter your course. You see them here, the course modules being the default. But in this case, I want the page that I've designated as my front page to be seen first. I select that option, I save it. And now when the student enters the course, they see my course homepage. which presumably includes either a picture or a video, a picture of myself or a video, or some personal engaging content. Canvas announcements. Any form of communication in your Canvas course is valuable in establishing yourself as a presence in your course. Canvas announcements, of course, are exceptionally simple. I don't think I have to spend a lot of time showing you that. You just click on the announcements tool in the course menu, you add an announcement, you give it a title, like a subject in an email message, and you type a message. And you get the rich content editor, just as you did for editing the Canvas homepage. So you can put anything in here you want. You can put pictures, videos, sound files, links to content inside and outside of Canvas. All those things that the rich content editor allows you to do. And then just save the announcement, and students will be able to go to their announcements tool and see that announcement. It's a broadcast message, the virtual equivalent of posting a note on the classroom door. And you can make it like that, in that students have to see the latest announcements you've posted by going to your settings, once again, in the course menu. Wrong menu. There we go. Your settings menu. And going to the course details tab, scrolling to the bottom of the tab and selecting more options, like you need more options on this page, but in this case you will. And you can show recent announcements on your course homepage. You can select that and select the number of recent announcements to show. 3 is the usual sweet spot, but you can choose whatever you like, and update your course details. And now when the student comes into the course, they see the most recent announcements at the top of the page. And there's your, I did finally take my, my profile image. Don't know what the holdup there was. And they see you. And having that profile image in there, it seems like it's trivial, like it really shouldn't matter. It's no big deal. But if it's a truly asynchronous course and you're not meeting with them on Zoom and things like that, as some courses still are presented, that's not really recommended practice, but you know, that's up to you. You get to choose how to teach your own courses. If you're doing that and you're not regularly communicating live with your students, this may be the only way they know what you look like. And you say, why should that matter with them? If it matter for them? Well, it matters. Trust me, it matters. It establishes you, helps to establish you as a human being. Unless, as you do, as one wiseacre instructor I saw one time first posted a little picture of Robbie the robot as his profile image. You know, at least it was humorous. And the students figured out he had a sense of humor anyway. So Canvas announcements are a useful humanizing tool. Canvas messaging. You've got this wonderful messaging system in that's embodied or implemented in your inbox tool, Canvas, which allows you to send messages using the compose a message button here to students in any of your courses. You do have to do this one course at a time. You can't send messages to students across courses. You have to do it course by course. Let me just select a course here I know has some students in it. I'm not actually going to send to anyone, but then to pick out the student or students I wish to send to, I use the little participants button here at the right of the to line. This looks a lot like email, but it is internal messaging inside Canvas. Important thing about that is you can be absolutely certain that the message will be delivered, 100% certain, unlike internet email, where messages can be blocked for a variety of reasons. Not going to happen here. Your students can't block you from sending them Canvas messages. You click on that little button, you're able to send either teachers or students in the course. If you select students, you can send to all students, or you can send to selected students, as many as you wish. A lot of Marcuses there. And then you can put in a subject and a message body. You are limited to just text here, but you can send a very informative message establishing your presence. And this is a personal message. Only the recipients can read it. It's not like an announcement that everyone in the class can read. So you can contact a student and discuss personal matters that you wouldn't want to discuss in front of the entire class. Indeed, if you send to multiple students, you can check this send an individual message to each student option, which is basically a blind carbon copy. It means they can't tell you sent it to someone else and whom else you've sent it to. And then just send the message. I'm not going to do that. Those folks don't need extra messages in their Canvas inboxes. And if the students have not changed their default Canvas notification settings, which is usual, maybe 95% of the time, they'll also get this Canvas message forwarded to their personal internet email box outside of Canvas. So it's a great way to communicate with your students and to establish your human presence. Sorry to be moving quickly. Please, I think I do have you muted because we were getting a little background noise there at one point. But if you have a question, please speak up. Just unmute yourself and speak up. All right. Discussions, Canvas discussions, especially things like icebreakers early on, where you just ask students to tell you something about themselves. Those of you who took the certification course had to do that. It's a great way to not only establish that you are a human being, but that their fellow students are there and that they're human beings as well. Group assignments. Canvas has the capability to create assignments that have to be fulfilled by a team of 2 or more students who have to work together and submit a single product from their team. And then everybody gets graded on the team's efforts and everybody gets the same grade. And students hate it. It's more work for you, but it's how the world of work works. People work in teams the vast majority of the time. They have to be able to communicate with one another. They have to be able to deal with, varying amounts of motivation and engagement among their team and things like that. Oh, I did all the work. They didn't do a thing. Well, get over it. Learn to motivate your teammates. It's the way to get ahead in the world. And they're wonderful experiences for students and very helpful in preparing them for the real world when they get out. And Canvas gives you the capability. We can't go into the details of how to implement this right now, but we do periodically offer a seminar on group work in Canvas and Zoom. And there are recordings of those online. We'll be offering that again sometime during the fall semester. Don't know exactly when. So these are all things that you can do just with Canvas. Tools that you've almost certainly learned to use already that have a tremendous, the use of which has a tremendous humanizing influence on your asynchronous or partly asynchronous online course. And most online courses have at least some asynchronous component. That is, they have a Canvas site where you post information for the students and perhaps discussions and assignments. They may have them take their quizzes there and so on. So these concepts we're talking about here don't just apply to courses that are taught fully asynchronously, that are offered only through Canvas. But indeed, this has relevance to any teaching modality, from face-to-face traditional classroom to, well, assuming you choose to use Canvas to web enhance your course, to a fully asynchronous online course. But the number one way to humanize your course, the most effective way to put your presence into your online course, some of the most effective instructional content you can create, is to do it through instructor-produced instructional video, which is the hobby horse that I never get off of. I probably see those of you who have your cameras turned off may be rolling your eyes at this moment. You've heard this from me before, but I'll never get off this because it is my greatest passion in instructional technology, or instruction in general. I got hooked on this. I can remember the moment as a sophomore undergraduate. The department that I was taking courses in at the time got a video camera and a tape deck that was roughly the size of a Volkswagen, and a videotape deck. And they made us, in one course, they made us create, a team of us, group assignment, create an instructional video in a biology class. I can't remember exactly which one. And it was so much fun to do. And it was so, as amateurish and and low talent as it was effective. It was fun. It was a lot easier to watch than it was a lot easier to watch that video than reading 3 chapters in the textbook for tomorrow. And there was a tremendous amount of information imparted in a very short period of time. And educational research has shown that people assimilate and remember what they see in a video a lot more effectively than what they read. Not that reading isn't important, and you don't have to provide information, and certainly you have to provide information in that way, but providing information in video format works, and it works better. And I'm hoping to convince you, if I haven't already, and I see a lot of familiar faces out there, but if I haven't already, I hope to convince you that it's easy to do and it saves you time in the long run. We talked about intro or bumper videos earlier as a good idea. Establishes your humanity right off the bat if you put that video on your course homepage that you created in Canvas. Now we're going to see how to do it, or at least one way to do it. There's lots of ways to do it. Indeed, one of the easier ways is to just take a selfie video with your cell phone and post that to your course. But I'm going to show you one that it's even simpler than that. You can use the Webcam Recorder in Canvas Studio. Canvas Studio is a video hosting, organizing, creation tool that's provided free to you as by virtue of you having a Canvas Learning Management System account. You access Canvas Studio from within Canvas. It's not the same system, but it's a tightly integrated system with the Canvas Learning Management System. You get to it through the Studio link in the Global Access menu, the gray bar on the left of every Canvas page. You click Studio, and you get your Canvas Studio library. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about Canvas Studio. I just did that seminar day before yesterday, I guess. But just real quick here, we can record in Canvas Studio, and we have a webcam recorder. I've got a lot of cameras attached to this system, so I'm going to have to tell it which webcam to use. There I am. You won't have to worry about that in all probability. Or if you have to, you won't have any trouble figuring it out because you're a video enthusiast like me. I hate the word geek. When I was growing up, a geek was the guy who bit heads off live chickens in the carnival sideshow. So I'm a video enthusiast. I'll take nerd, but not geek. All right, so I see myself, so I know that the recorder is seeing me. That bouncing blue bar tells me that the recorder is hearing me. If I don't see that, I can go to the mic button here and I can select the right microphone. I'll just change one there. I've got several microphones on this system too. And you may have more than one audio input on your computer and not know it. So you may have to try 2 or 3 different entries in this list here before you start seeing that blue bar bounce back and forth, but that tells you that the system is hearing you. And then it's pretty intuitive from that point onward. You click start recording, it's going to count you down to get you ready and let you, and then cue you and start. Welcome everyone to today's seminar on humanizing your online course. I'm Dave Giberson. I'll be your guide for this session today. I'm an old retreaded chemist who's been making his living with toys for the last 35 years or so, and just loves sharing that with people. When you're done, you click finish. You can play a little bit of it to see if it worked. Welcome everyone to today's seminar. You can always start over if you don't like it, but don't obsess over that. It's not going to be perfect no matter how hard you try. And it doesn't have to be. When you can bring yourself to do it, just click Save Media. And that video is uploaded to your Canvas Studio library. It appears in a rectangle here. We can view it. Oh, it's not quite finished yet, sorry. Yeah, it's processing. There it goes. It has to process, Canvas Studio has to get it ready to share. Then you can view it. Welcome everyone. Now you have to share it with your students. You can do that in a variety of ways, but chances are you're going to be doing this through Canvas. So you can go to a Canvas course. I know that it's a very simple process, but I know it can be intimidating if it's something you're new to. I spend so much time working with video and with self-produced video and so on. I guess I've gotten a little numb to it. And then every now and then I'll see a frozen frame like this one. Welcome everyone to today. And I realized that welcome everyone to that I look like an idiot in that frame. So you got to get over that. You know, it's much more intimidating when you have to watch it play back and see that, and see those mannerisms and habits that we all have, and things that you do in the classroom anyway. Your students see this, but you don't have to have it rubbed. You don't have to have your nose rubbed in it. It is intimidating. Also, audibly, we don't sound to other people the way we sound to ourselves when we speak. So when we hear our voices played back, you say, oh God, did I sound like that? So we kind of have to put our sensibilities away in a very tight little box and lock them away somewhere way back in our minds. But it's so effective. And it's what you look and sound like anyway. It's something we all we just have to get over with or get over. And but that's a significant factor in or a significant disinclination for folks to create their own video. But trust me, your students will appreciate it enough to make it worth your initial discomfort, and you will get numb to it after a while, in all probability. So I have this video. How do I share it with my students? Well, there's actually several ways to do that. If you want more information about this, watch any one of the several recordings we have of our Introduction to Canvas Studio professional development seminar that we have on our Open On Demand site under Workshop Archives. But I'll go to my dashboard, he said. There we go. And let me just pick a sandbox course here to put that in. I'll put it in a Canvas module. Here's one from my Canvas Studio intro 3 days ago. I'll just add it to this module. I just add an item to the module in the usual way, and I can add it as an external tool because that Canvas Studio is not actually part of Canvas. It's an external resource from which you can pull content into Canvas. And it's listed here as in the list of external tools that we have access to here. It's quite a list. And did I click Badger? Oh, clicked the wrong thing. Sorry. All right. There now, when I do that, it gives me a different view of my course or my Canvas Studio library. And that video I just created is the first one that pops up. I just select it. I probably don't want to display media tabs. That allows students to comment on your video. Maybe you've got a thicker skin than I do. I don't care to do that. You probably don't want them to be able to download it either. You might find yourself cut into a very compromising video on YouTube someday if you did that. And then just embed the video into the module and add that item to your module. One last step. And there it is. And for some reason, it named that Badger, probably because I clicked on Badger first. Let me rename that. This is going to be, we'll call this intro video. And now if a student, and if I publish that, if I come along and if a student comes along and clicks on that video, there it is.
Welcome, everyone.
You can also embed that in your home page by going to the Pages tool. And let's add a page. I have to view all pages and add a page. We'll call this course homepage. Or maybe I already have one now that I think about it. Hold on a second. Let me cancel that. Yeah. Let's see. No, I don't. Okay. We'll add a page. Call this course homepage. And I can go to the apps tool in the rich content editor here, the little electric cord icon. That's an external tool access. And I can view all the external tools I have that I can use to embed content into the into a Canvas page through the rich content editor. I can choose Canvas Studio. I can select that video again. and embed it. And maybe I'll center that. I know symmetry is the hobgoblin of small minds, but I'll publish it. And I'll make this the home page by viewing all the pages. We saw this a minute ago. View all pages. I'll find, oh, I had the Bison video set as the home page. So let's change that. There's the course homepage video. I'll use that as the front page. That moves that little highlight to it. With that little label that tells me that's going to be my front page. If I go to home and I choose home page as the page that is designated as the front page, that was already set. So now I have my intro video on my course homepage. The first thing the students see, and they can play it.
Welcome everyone to today's seminar on humanizing your online course. I'm Dave Giberson.
And I am living proof that you don't have to be Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie to do this and put it on your Canvas, in your Canvas course. Trust me, you can't break Canvas that way. I've tried. All right. So you can also do this for bumper videos, periodic contacts with your students during the course of the term. I know a lot of people who put a bumper video at the beginning of each new module in Canvas to tell students what's coming and give them some encouragement. And oh, today we're halfway through the course. You know, this is the middle of the modules here. You've done well so far. Just hang in there, and that sort of thing. I know it sounds cheesy, corny, but it works. And students appreciate it. They may chuckle a little bit, and they may think unkind thoughts about you from time to time, but they like it. They crave it. Never had a student complain. We have never had a student complain that their instructor communicated with them too much. And this is a great way to do it because it's personal, it's human. Especially when you mess up and catch yourself and so on, it makes you a human being. They know you're not a web robot, because a web robot would not make those mistakes. And and again, you reinforce what you're saying with those nonverbal cues, facial expressions, gestures, posture. All of that 70% of communication that's nonverbal is suddenly put into an online course that's in a way that students can access it asynchronously on their own time. Course tours are great, just showing students how to navigate your course. This usually requires the technique called screencasting, where you record your computer screen and maybe yourself at the same time, but for sure your computer screen, while you show people things on your computer screen. You move from window to window. You navigate around in Canvas, and you show them how the course works and show them exactly what they're going to be seeing when they navigate the course. So you don't have to describe it to them, you show it to them. So much more effective. And you can then put this online so that they can watch it anytime, as often as they like. They can start it, stop it, rewind it, catch up with it. Some of the most effective instructional content that you'll ever create. And screencasting is very, very, very easy to do. I'm screencasting right now. I remember I hit the record button at the beginning of the session. Zoom is recording this, recording what you're seeing and hearing. So the recording of this session will essentially be one big screencast. And you can do it that way. You all, the vast majority of you are familiar with using Zoom in your courses. You can just start a Zoom session without any attendees, and share your screen and then record. And Zoom will record whatever happens on your computer screen, and it will record what you say about it. And that may be the easiest way to do screencasting, to create something like a course tour. All I have to do is bring up my Canvas course, hit record in a Zoom meeting, hit record, and show people how to navigate the course. Or if you prefer to use another tool, Canvas Studio has a wonderful screen record. There are lots of different screencasting tools, which I cover periodically in my screencasting seminar, which I offer with as often as I can get away with it, because it's one of my favorite things. But we have numerous recordings of that on the open on demand sites. You don't have to wait for me to do it live. But Canvas Studio is a good choice because it's available to everybody freely. Let me go, that's not what I meant to do. Let's go to Canvas Studio. And I'm trying to keep track of exactly what I'm showing you and so on. But if I ever start talking about something that you can't see, please let me know right away. I can go to record button. I can go to screen capture. I can open the screen recorder. Da, 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 da. Come on, Canvas. This can take varying amounts of time depending on how busy Canvas is. And oops, I have to show you this in a different way because the screen recorder insists on recording my main screen. So let me pull that up. Let me share that with you in Zoom, excuse me. Okay, now you're seeing my Zoom screen. And here's the Screencast Recorder. It is, by default, you're going to record just your computer screen. I recommend choosing full screen. That may or may not be the default. You can pick that. And make sure it can hear you. You see those green bars. If you don't see those, select the right input source, just like you did on the webcam, or you might have had to do on the webcam recorder. I'm using the right one. And then you have a record button here. You're ready to record. You may want to bring up what you want to talk about first. So let me move to a course here on my. That's an actual running flex course, online flex course. I'll bring that over here. And now all I have to do to record is to click this record button. Counts me down. This is our Learn to Screencast online flex course. Oop. See, everybody makes mistakes. There we go. And to get started in this course, all you have to do is watch the introductory video.
Greetings from the shores of lovely.
Read a little bit and then click Start Here, which will take you to the modules. You'll find everything, all the information, all the tools, everything you need to complete this course in the modules. Just start at the top of the first module with the syllabus. And you can just keep hitting next to go forward in the course. You can always go back to the modules tool and jump wherever you need to, all the way to the bottom of the last module. When you reach that, you're done with the course. And that's all there is to taking this online Flex course. All right. I just recorded all that. I have a pause button waiting for me down here, a little red circle with 2 vertical slashes in it. I click that, and now I'm not recording anymore. I could start up if I just wanted to pause and catch my thoughts. I could pause at any time during the screencast process, and then just hit record again to continue. But when I'm eventually done, I just click done. It's all dirt simple. I get a preview.
This is our Learn to Screencast.
You just listen to a little bit of it and watch it to make sure it did record. Then you give it a name. Call this course tour. That's not what I called it. Course tour. Spelling. And then upload to my Canvas Studio library. This time required for this varies depending on the size of the video and how fast your internet connection, how fast your computer is, and how fast your internet connection is. A short recording like that won't take long. Upload successful is what you want to see. You will 99% of the time. You continue and go back to your Canvas Studio. And there's that course tour processing. It's already ready. And you would share that with your students in the same way you shared the intro video.
This is our Learn to Screencast online Flex course.
It's a little fuzzy because it hasn't completely finished processing. It gives you a low res version of it before it finally finishes up. But that's all there is to creating a course tour in Canvas Studio, or you could use it in, you could do it in Zoom. Okie dokie, let me kill my share. We'll go back to the PowerPoint slide. Live or recorded lectures, probably through Zoom. Great tools. That's what I'm doing right here. All you have to do is record your Zoom session. And even if your students appear in it and talk to one another and identify themselves and so on, you can still share that video with the same course section. You can't reuse it in a future semester or with another section without violating FERPA. But you can share that recording with your students without any rigmarole. You don't have to get releases from them or anything like that. You're not violating FERPA as long as you only show it to, as long as you provide it to your students through Canvas so that only enrolled students in that course section can see it, then you're perfectly fine. And you're not violating any federal regulations or anything like that, or any best practices. On the contrary, students crave lecture recordings provided through Canvas because they can go back and they can pick up things they missed, or they can pick up the whole thing if they weren't in class that day. Or if they, you know, if this is a hybrid course and you've they've missed a class session, if you've recorded it in Zoom, well, they're home free. And it doesn't make it any less likely that they're going to attend class in person. Research has shown that. You can also, through screencasting, create micro lectures or video learning objects, which are, again, little instructional videos, ideally 5 to 10 minutes in length or less. Sure, the best instructional video is the shortest one that is sufficient to transmit the concept that you're trying to teach. And these can be typically done through screencasting. There's just all sorts of screencasting tools you can use. As I mentioned, we just saw the Canvas Studio screencasting tool, Zoom, Snagit. Techsmith Capture is completely free version of Snagit. A new tool that I'm vastly impressed with right now is called Clipchamp, which is a marvelous video editor. Very, very simple video editor, sort of a low-end one, but very easy to use, provided free by Microsoft. Works on PC and Mac, and it has a Screencast Recorder built into it, just like Canvas Studio. There's just all sorts of ways to do that. Let me know if you have more questions about that, or you're interested in doing some screencasting, because it is my thing. And it is the thing that excites me as much as anything in instructional technology. But what might that look like? Well, let's find one here. And again, you tend to target the choke points. Find one here. Well, here's one that I downloaded from YouTube. I didn't make that. Here's one on navigating Canvas.
Meet Dr. Panda. Dr. Panda is an excellent educator and is always looking for tools and resources to leverage.
Okay, maybe that one is a little bit, not that your students probably wouldn't be entertained. Here's a tiny one I might use in the geography course.
Here we are at the Missouri Headwaters State Park.
Let me share that with sound so you can hear it a little better. Park in southwestern Montana, where the Jefferson River on the left and the Madison River just coming in here come together to form the mighty Missouri, the longest river in North America and one of America's two greatest rivers. Here we are at these can be motion videos like this, or more likely screencasts showing students how to do something in a piece of software or in a tool or whatever, or pulling up a website that has information about a topic that you're covering in that part of your course, and that you can share with them and comment on and provide information to them. Micro lectures. And since you're creating this yourself, the students see you, hear you, and feel your presence in the course. You're humanizing your course. I'm especially fond of video feedback. Providing students feedback on the assignments that they've submitted in Canvas, or by whatever means. You could do this with assignments that students had submitted on paper in class by using a little document camera to show their paper, and then record yourself blue penciling it and talking about it. Students can get an experience that way that is nearly equivalent to what they'd get if they made an appointment during your office hours and came in to talk about their grade on a particular assignment, and you went through the process that you had used to assign that grade, and and gave encouraging feedback and constructive criticism and so on in person. Well, they got almost the same experience if you do feedback by video and provide that video to them. And when they want to ask questions and so on, they can just message you in Canvas. So it's, not quite the same, but it's very nearly equivalent. And it's a lot better than just providing them the assignment grade and maybe a little bit of typed feedback or whatever in the Canvas speed grader. You can actually record this process. Let's take a look at how that would work. If we go to a course here, I have a search for one. Let's see, grade. There it is. Took this one out because I had something I could grade in it. In the grading process in Canvas, of course, we go to the grades tool, the grade book, and submitted assignments that we've not yet graded are indicated by these little submission icons here. To actually grade one of them, I click on the icon, I click the right arrow to get me to the speed grader link for that assignment. All right, this assignment asks the students, and I can go back and look at the assignment if I can't remember what I'd asked them to do. But in this case, I've asked the students to define the term screencasting, list 3 instructional applications of screencasting, and provide me the names of 2 screencasting tools that could be used to create screencasts. Well, this student has defined the term, and that's an adequate definition right there. And but they've only they've given me one application that can be used to create screencasts, but they've given me no instructional, or they've given me one tool that could be used to create screencasts, but no instructional applications. So what can I do? Well, I can type out a comment for them, but that's going to take me a lot of time with my typing skills, especially if I want to make it fairly rich and extensive. And going to be kind of a pain. So what's my alternative? Well, I can, just to show you another screencasting tool, I can make a screen. Well, actually, there's 2 things I can do. I can, if I just want to give them some talking head feedback, I can use the screencast record, or the webcam recorder, excuse me, that's built into the speed grader in Canvas. Click there. This looks a lot like the one that's built into Canvas Studio, because it is. I can select the right webcam, and I can go through that same process again. I can record a video, and it's hearing me, so I just start recording. Okay, good definition. That's perfectly adequate. You did give me one tool that can be used to create screencasts, but I don't see any instructional applications. So you might want to submit this one again. Otherwise, your grade's going to suffer a little bit. But what you've got there so far is good, just needs fleshing out. So I finish that. I save the media. And that becomes a part of the grading record. And the student can play that back from within their grades tool. Okay, good definition. That's real easy for you. A lot faster than typing the same stuff out on a comment. and the students will appreciate it a lot more and get a lot more from it. And you can be much more extensive in your comments for the same amount of effort and time. Or you can pull up a screencasting tool. Well, let me show you another one, like Snagit. There's a free version of this called Techsmith Capture that has some limitations that you can use as well. Snagit costs about 30 some bucks for a permanent license. You don't have to keep buying it. And it's always ready. I just click record. I tell it what I want to record, this screen, full screen. I like to do full screen recordings. Then I get this control bar. I tell Snagit I want to record a movie, a screen movie, instead of a static screenshot. Turn off the webcam. I don't need that. Got to make sure it can hear me. Nope, I'm using the wrong microphone. Check, 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 check. Okay, it's hearing me. You can see the little deflection there. And then I just hit the record button. Counts me down. And I can do the same thing here. This control bar actually won't be recorded, but I can get it out of the way so you don't have to watch it while I'm doing this. And I can give the same feedback about what they were missing. I can do markup feedback in real time. Okay, this is good. Good definition. But where are my instructional applications here? If I go to text, where are things like software tutorials or PowerPoint narrations, etc., things that we talked about in the course. Also, you gave me one tool, but I asked for two. So at this point, you're looking at about a 6 out of 10. But if you come back and add these other things and resubmit, you'll be in great shape. Okay, when I'm done, I can just click stop on the recorder bar, and the screencast I get a preview of the screencast in another window. And I've had a little trouble with Snagit lately recording audio. Sorry about that. Apparently Zoom was interfering, but let's say normally the audio would be fine there. So I need to now share this with my students. I can click the share button. I can put it on YouTube automatically if I'm logged into my YouTube account. I'll make it unlisted because it's just a test. I can upload. That can go very quickly. And not only does that upload it to YouTube, but it also gives me the URL, the share URL from YouTube for this feedback. And I can go to my comments box here and put in the URL. The student can then paste that into their web browser and hit enter and get the full feedback that I've just given them. And that whole process, if you don't have to talk about it, just takes seconds to do. It's a lot faster than typing out extensive comments in the comments box. It's much, much more effective. You can give much richer feedback in the amount of time you have to spend on each submission in a course. And the students will get so much more out of it. and it's a process that anyone can do. You could use Zoom or for this, or you can use the Canvas Studio screen recorder. But this is a circumstance where a tool like Snagit, which is always available and running in the background on your computer, and to bring it up, all you have to do is like click once or twice with your mouse. It gives you that the workflow is so efficient that you can do 20, 30 of these in less time than it would take you to type out the comments for each submission. And those of you who have taken the online faculty certification program know how, even though, you know, it's all kind of role play and things like that, how you would hang on, you know, on the waiting for the feedback and so on to see if how you did, whether you got full credit or not, whether you're going to have to do the assignment in the course over again or not. It's something that students will come to anticipate and look forward to and really appreciate. And the learning impact of the assignment becomes much greater when you provide this kind of rich feedback. I don't have to tell you that. So something any of us can do without spending money. Snagit is, as I say, Snagit is something you'd have to pay for, but there's a free version of Snagit called Techsmith Capture that works just as quickly and so on. The only drawback to Techsmith Capture really for us is that it doesn't allow you to caption the video. But here's the one circumstance in which you don't have to caption an instructional video that you put online for your students. If you're sending that video to just one, if that video is intended for viewing by just one student, and you know that student is not hearing impaired, you do not have to caption the video. So that's why that talking head video, which you don't really have any way to caption either, is legal, because you're sending it to a single student who doesn't need the captions. If you are giving feedback, of course, to a hearing impaired student, one who's been identified as such by DSPS, then you have to be very careful about how you provide feedback. That's where the YouTube option there, using Snagit and sending the video to YouTube. You can't send the video to YouTube if you use Techsmith Capture or the free version of Snagit. But if you use Snagit, you can send it to YouTube, and YouTube will caption the video automatically, and you don't have to worry about the accessibility of the video. The deaf student will be able to understand what you were saying through the captions. So all of this is possible without spending money and without a tremendous learning curve. Mostly it's using skills that you already have. You had to, in that online faculty certification course, you had to create an intro video or some sort of instructional video and make sure it was captioned and all that and so on. So this is just an application of that skill. And that's it. Oh my God, I hit the end of the presentation. I must be done. That's pretty much what I had to share with you today. As I said, very important topic. If the students can't feel our presence in those courses, they're going to be much less likely to be successful or to stick it out through the end of the course. And that is, of course, something that none of us wants. All right, how about some questions? There haven't been a lot of those so far, but let me see. Let's see. Oh, I got a question from Steve. Do you recommend a particular subscription for needed features from the Liquid Syllabus website?
Yeah, Dave, how
yeah.
are you doing today?
Great, Steve. Thanks for coming.
I was checking out Liquid Syllabus prior to this session, and it looked like I needed to sign up for a subscription or there was a free account. And I was
That website is sort of assuming you're going to do it in Google Sites, and the only subscription you need for that is a Google account. So if you use Gmail or Google Docs or YouTube or whatever, you already got that. And it's free. I mean, Google doesn't charge for that. If you should not have a Google account or you're not sure, you can just go to, make sure you're seeing this, accounts.google.com. And if you don't have an account, of course, won't welcome you. It'll say, wouldn't you like a Google account? Or sign into your Google account if you're not signed in. Or if you don't have one, create one. And it takes about 5 minutes and it's completely free. And then you can use Google Sites. But that's assuming you want to use Google Sites. As we showed, there are other ways to do that. You could just make a slide presentation in PowerPoint 365 and share that with your students, because PowerPoint 365 will say you can, using that, you can save that to your OneDrive cloud file storage account and share that presentation with the world through a link in a website or a link in Canvas, or put it into any document or publication that students would be able to access, that they can where they can click on the link. And I think it's possible to put that in the description, the course description, in the class schedule, so the student could look at it just to see if they maybe want to take that course or not. But again, you can also post, you could create a Canvas site that was publicly accessible, that had all of your syllabi in it, and you could make that available through a personal website or whatever. But lots of ways to do it. If you're interested in that and you're looking for a pathway that worked for you, just email me and we can get together on Zoom and figure out what'll work best for you. Okay, did I answer the question? Sometimes I don't know when to stop. Great. All right. So no need to spend a lot of money to do any, or much, any money to do any of this. They're free alternatives, or free to you alternatives for all of these ideas that we've talked about. How about some more questions?
Hi, Dave.
Hey.
Hi, it's Momoko. Hey,
Hey, Momoko. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for the great presentation. I have a question about the Flipgrid that you introduced us at the beginning. I believe you said it's a video discussion tool.
Yes.
Could you please explain to us that?
Let me show it to you.
Yeah, thank you.
That'd be the best way to explain it. Absolutely. Let me find Canvas here. There we go. No, that's not Canvas. Sorry. Senior moment here. There's Canvas. All right, let's get back. Let me get back to my dashboard here. And somewhere here, I have a Flipgrid sandbox. There we go. And Flipgrid is installed in your course, can be installed in your course as a link in your course menu. That's interesting. Something wrong with that one. I'll have to go back and look at that. All right, you'd normally have Flipgrid as a link here. And I need to continue with Google. I'm logged into my Google account. What's going on here? Yep, there I am. I am sorry, I'm not sure what I've done here. Didn't prep for this one. So why is it not? Well, let me continue with Microsoft. Darn it. Apparently something has gotten disconnected here, and I'm going to have to research it.
Yeah, I totally understand. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, maybe we can have another workshop for that.
But I know I have other ways of showing you this. Just a second. Let me go to what's the best choice? Probably YouTube. But yeah, I've got Flipgrid demos on YouTube. That's not as useful as it might be. All right, let's go to the Open on Demand site. You would not have to log into this. I'm logging in as the administrator of the site. No, I don't care that I'm running an outdated version of the Jetpack. Okay, if I go to Workshop Archives and I search for Flipgrid, or better yet, here's a seminar from last year on using Flipgrid. Let me run ahead here to share that so you can hear it. On that, you get a menu. And let me get myself out of the way of this here. I'm breaking into your students. Then, of course, I have to repeat myself, is I hadn't saved it to my group yet. Saved you through Zoom, which I have not been doing up to now, because the way I do the you. Plenty of time at the end here to show you how I'm doing this in OBS as well. But to make this work, I actually have to share my computer screen in Zoom. So in the usual fashion. So I'm going to do that. Make sure I get the right one. Share. Now you're seeing my Flipgrid recorder on your screens now. About myself. You'll notice I've got a little recording worked and everything if anybody else needs it. And so it's difficult to condense that, but aggravating that stopped working in that course. Something happened in Canvas apparently, but you can post little videos very easily. It's designed to be, Flipgrid is completely built around video communication. So you can post little videos for your students using that little recorder that you saw. It is extremely simple to use. And the students can reply to you the same way with video, and they can create videos for their peers and talk back and forth that way, rather than having to type as they do in the usually do in the discussion topics in Canvas. They can just talk to one another. They can even make screencasts and share those with one another in Flipgrid. It's an extremely powerful tool. It is currently free and can be integrated for free into your Canvas course. And with this seminar here shows you how to do that, how to add it to your Canvas course, how to set it up, how to use it, how to record videos, and how to make it available to your students in your course through a link in the course menu. And I'll get this working. I'll get it working, and I'm not sure what's happened to it there. And it's something I need to look into. But anyway, this recording, and I'll put the link to this in the chat tool so you don't have to search for it again. Here's the link to that, and that will show you how to get it started. And as far as I know, it's still free. Let me know if you have any trouble with it, if you have any questions, if you're interested in setting it up. But you can accomplish the same thing with the discussion topics in Canvas, because you do have that rich content editor when you're creating, as do the students, when you're creating a discussion post in Canvas, and it allows you to embed videos into a discussion post, but it's all just a little bit more complicated than Flipgrid once you get Flipgrid set up and communicating with you. And it is just, it's just a great way to enhance communication with between you and your students, and between your students and student to student communication. And that's all critical to making an online course seem human. Great question.
Dave, I've got a question.
Great. Hey, Sandra.
Hey, how you doing? With Flipgrid, do you have to deal with captioning at all? Because I mean, this is all audio.
They're captioned automatically.
Really? Is it like a live time captioning or?
Not live, but the students are not communicating live through Flipgrid. It's an asynchronous tool, and the videos are captioned automatically. They know they wouldn't be able to sell it to anyone in California, at least.
Well, I know that anytime you hear free, it's like there's got to be a catch somewhere.
Catch somewhere, yeah. Well, I'm wondering, because I had a free account at Flipgrid, and I was having trouble getting back in there. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe they've cut off my free account, but I hope not.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. It's flipgrid.com, I think. Yeah. And log in and continue with Google. Flipgrid is now Flip. Okay, whoopee. And all my stuff's still there, so. It's just possible that they changed their URL. Oh gosh, it's not flipgrid.com anymore, it's flip.com. Probably I'm gonna have to go back and reestablish the connections and so on. That's that's aggravating. But no, it still appears to be free because I've never sent them any money. And oh gosh, it is just a marvelous little tool and so easy to use to do basic stuff. You know, just record talking head videos is almost automatic. But it also has further capabilities like screencasting and all sorts of video enhancements and so on that you can throw in there to make it even more engaging. So it's a tremendous tool. And apparently they are still, hopefully, providing free access. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go back and reset that up. And but that, you know, that seminar, and there were other Flipgrid tutorials in the on-demand site as well. Let's see, where is that? No. Sorry. You just search for Flipgrid in the search box on our open on demand site. There's the overall presentation. Here's one on edit. You can edit the videos that you make in Flipgrid. Here's how to add it to your Canvas course. Here's how to do it, use it on a mobile device. Here's a tutorial for students on how to use Flipgrid in their Canvas courses. And I used to cover Flipgrid in more detail in this course before we added more content to it. And so it was featured in a number of other presentations, but this one is strictly Flipgrid, so you get more out of it and it'll take less time. But this one will show you how to get it active in your course. It involves installing an LTI app in your course, learning technology interface app, but I go through the process step by step. It's not real complicated. And it should work. It looks like it's still going to work for you. It just, probably when they changed the name of the resource, all those links I had set up broke. So I'll go back and try it again. Okay. Any other questions?
Dave, I have one. My question is
Yes,
this:
sir.
when you were doing the recordings, like the introduction to your course syllabus, can
Right.
you do that once and then when you change to another class, use that same recording as the beginning for that? Is it a way
Sure.
to?
Sure.
Okay.
Because there's
So
as long as it's generic enough that you don't mention fall semester or
Yeah.
you know,
Okay, that's
or
what I was-
2022 or whatever. Yeah, certainly, because there's no identifying information about students in there or whatever. And if what you've recorded is still correct for the next
Yeah,
course,
okay.
yeah, you can use that video over and over and over again until things change enough that it's no longer accurate, and then you have to redo it. That is one of the frustrations with instructional video. When you make tutorials about online resources or software or whatever, and then the owner of the software comes along and changes the interface or something like that, and suddenly your tutorial is not giving the right directions anymore and things like that, and you have to go back and redo it. So once you get on that horse, it's a little difficult to get off. And keeping your instructional videos current can get to be a bit of a chore. And I'd like to tell you I'm perfect at that, and I'm certainly not. So good question.
Thank you.
Bet. Oh, this is a fun one. And we actually got through on time today. I'm not sure what got into me. Anything else? Anything I can help with? Doesn't have to be about this. Thanks, Sandra, very much. Anything else about anything that I can help with? Yes, Sandra, go. Doesn't matter. Anything. At this point, it's open question time.
Well, actually, it had to do with Zoom, but
Oh, cool. Okay.
it wasn't really. Okay. Do you know who our Zoom administrator is for the district?
There are a couple of people in IT that have that access, and Brian Weston is
really?
an administrator on our Zoom accounts.
Okay, because I have a particular Zoom app that I need to have added to Marketplace, and I asked for it to be done, but I don't know who's going to ever do it or if I'll ever get an answer. Or if I just
Okay, you did the request protocol in the
Exactly.
the Zoom app store and so on, and haven't heard anything back.
Well, I don't know what I should expect. It was yesterday, and I know they're doing.
That's a little soon.
I
But
know.
Brian's been very good about doing that.
Okay.
If you go another few days and you don't hear anything, it's something you need now, I'd just email him and say, it's something I'd really like to do. When you get a chance, would you mind
Sorry, who was that?
activating that app?
Who was that?
Brian Weston, the
Okay.
Dean of Online and Distributed Learning, my boss.
Sorry, I didn't hear his name.
He's activated a number of them for me. So which app was it? Just out of curiosity, I can put in a request for it too.
It's called LibCal. And it's something that I want to set up a calendar. It's a calendaring type of functionality that works with the library website, works with the SpringShare.
Oh, right. LIBCOW?
It's LIBCAL. It's capital L.
LibCal, sorry. I don't know where I got cow. LibCal.
It's living in Montana. Or living in
A lot of cows up here.
cows. Yes. Yeah.
Ooh.
Because I want to integrate the Zoom functionality into the calendar. So
Understood.
I think it will generate a separate Zoom session for each of the appointments instead of having somebody share their Zoom room.
Right.
I just don't know if it only activates because I've asked for it, or if it's something I can have different accounts access once it's in the marketplace. So I don't know if each librarian has to activate it on their own, or if I can do it.
Probably not. Once Brian or whomever sees that request and authorizes it for use, then everyone can add it to their own Zoom account. They don't have to request it separately.
Okay.
Oh, why this thing is not
But they do have to activate it within their own
Zoom account. Yeah. Huh.
All right.
Why the search doesn't Calibri.
Yeah, I did find it in there.
You found it in here and you, okay, I'll find it. I'm pretty sure I haven't requested that one. Or that. I will find it and I will put in a request for it as well.
Thanks.
But give it a few days. It usually takes him a few days because he would only check it periodically. But if it's something you need right away, just go ahead and email him and gently ask if it might be possible for him to turn that on for you.
Well,
And
if I can,
they haven't refused one yet. So
oh, that's good to know. If I can get it to work, then I know that Mesa is probably going to ask for it too, because they have the same calendaring function.
once it's enabled for everyone in the account.
Oh, okay. It goes to the whole district. Ah, okay. Good. I'll let him know that then.
Yeah, he and a couple of folks in IT manage all of the SDCCD-EDU Zoom accounts that used to be our Confer Zoom accounts.
Yeah.
So they have complete administrative authority over those accounts.
Awesome. All right. Good to know. Well, that was worth the price of admission right there.
Oh, gee, you got something.
Yeah, this has been a really good session.
You learn one thing in a session is worth it. I know the feeling.
No, this was a really good session. I'm very glad that I attended. It was quite interesting. I'm trying to figure out how to work it into, obviously library instruction type of thing, and not necessarily a course. And when you talked about having something publicly accessible, I'm trying to figure out how the best way to do library type instruction where people can access it without logging in.
Right. That's all you have to do is set that option to public and get that link to people some way.
Yeah.
Put it on your website, your library website, and put a link to it, and then click on that and they go right into Canvas. And
Wow.
they can do everything except things that would require Canvas to know who they are, like post to a discussion board or something like that. They can post anonymously, but they can't, they wouldn't. You can also set it up so that they can enroll themselves in the Canvas course without your involvement.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to have an account on our Canvas system to do that, which means they need to be one of our students. So if you are like posting this information for a wider audience, or people who might not have accounts on our Canvas system, then there would be some limitation as to what they could do once they get into the course, but generally very minor limitations in terms of just providing information. Anybody in the world, anywhere who had that link could come in and view your LibGuides or your bibliographic instruction videos or whatever, and benefit from them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wonderful service, and it's amazing. People will find them and will use them and will communicate with you from all over the world. It's kind of cool.
Wow. So different from posting it in the Canvas Commons.
Yeah. In the Canvas Commons, it becomes available for other educators to use.
Use the
You're not making it available to, as a resource, really. It's more of a learning objects repository where you can pick things out and put things from there into your Canvas course and use them there. But no, this allows you to, in effect, create a public website that is a Canvas course, and that gives you all the tools that you already know how to use in Canvas, and yet you can share it with anybody in the world. And that's a design feature of Canvas. It's one of its strengths.
Interesting. So as a corollary, if I wanted to create a tutorial that was self-enrollment and graded, so let's say because I've had instructors ask, is there a tutorial out there that I can use for my English class, let's say? And would there be a way for their students to enroll in it and get grades that could be sent to their instructor? Would that be a module? I mean, could I do
Yeah.
And then the instructor could insert that in their course or just send them to that course? I don't know how to work all that.
Yeah, they just embed the link to your Canvas site in their Canvas course. The student would click on that link, and this is assuming now that it's one of our students and they have an account in Canvas.
Yeah.
Which from what you're saying, I gather would be the case.
Yeah.
And the student, when they click on that link, will be given the option to enroll in the course. And they can do that. And then it's just like it's any other Canvas course. You can put assignments in that course, and the students can watch the video and take a quiz on that video, either embedded in the video or separate. The quiz can be separate from the video. They can get a grade, and then they can take a screenshot or whatever and send it to their instructor.
So I'd only have to set up, would I only have to set up one course?
One course.
And then any student from any section of an English class could take it.
Correct.
And then how would the grades be sent to a particular instructor, or how would they?
That's where the student might have to be involved. They might have to take a screenshot of their grade and send it to the instructor. Or if you have a group of instructors who are using the course, you can just give them teacher or TA access to your course, and they can go in and they can pull the grades out for their students themselves without you having to be involved.
How would they know which students were theirs?
I
know, sorry, this is all off the cuff, right?
No, this is good. Well, they would have their own rosters and so on.
So
let me think. There's probably a way to make that a little bit more automatic, though. Let's think about that. How would they know right away which students of theirs have done that?
Unless I have them enroll in a particular area. I don't know.
If you have a roster for your class and there's some information from another class, you can compare the rosters.
Right. You'd have to do that kind of manually. I'm trying to think of a way to make it to streamline the process a little bit, where the instructor could find their students' results very quickly without having to do a lot of looking. And
I'm doing a similar
something
thing.
like, the grade book and something like that could get huge.
Yeah.
So there could be a lot of students in there, and how to have their students
or if it doesn't matter so much for them to actually get grades.
Yeah.
I don't recall, does Canvas Studio have some kind of quizzing aspect to it?
It sure does.
Okay.
Yeah, you can embed a quiz into a Canvas Studio video, any Canvas Studio video, and it will show the student what they got right, what they got wrong, give them a score at the end. You can have that recorded in the grade book or not, as you choose. And if you don't care to, the student could just watch the video, take the quiz, and at the end of the process, they get a feedback page that shows what they got right and wrong and what score they made. And again, they could just take a screenshot of that and send it to their instructor. And that way the instructor doesn't have to spend an inordinate amount of time looking for their grades in your course. They put the onus on the student to send that. And that's not a huge ask of a student. And if we think about it a little bit, we may be able to think of something that's even easier and more automatic. I like the idea.
Unless I made an instance for each instructor that required a tutorial, like a separate sandbox or a separate published course.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that because you can have as many, just call it a development shell. Go to the help button in Canvas and go either column call the faculty support hotline or go on chat and say, I'd like, 3 development shells and just, lib 100 or something like that, or whatever you call that course. And they'll make you the development shells, and you can develop one and then just copy the content into the others and have a separate one for each instructor. That would work until the number of instructors who wanted to do that got too big.
Yeah, that's
Then you'd have, your dashboard would be littered with courses. So that would get to be a little it wouldn't be as scalable as you might want it to be. It'd be better if you could put everything in one shell. You only had the one to go to. But having the
yeah. Well, I guess
we can think of something. Maybe might work a Google form in there or something like that, where the student had to submit the URL for their or better yet, the instructor could have a Canvas assignment, and the student could submit a link that would allow the instructor to see their grade without having to actually go into your course. Let me think about that. I like this idea. I'm going to play with it a little bit in my mind. If you'll do the same, I'm sure we can figure out some way to make this not too burdensome for anyone.
Yeah, that's the idea. Because I created a tutorial within LibGuides, and it's out there. It's on the web. It's part of the website for the library.
Right.
There's no grades involved in it. Students can look at it or if they want to or not.
Right.
What I was hoping was for our instruction, whether it be so our instructors ask us to do these library sessions, like BIs.
Oh yeah, been there, done that.
I would really like to flip it so they already have a baseline before they come to our session.
Yeah.
So you're not just dealing with people that you have such a range of folks that have used libraries or haven't used library. So let's get a baseline here before they even get to us. But
that was the best part of the BI videos I used to make. It wasn't necessarily that people watched the video and they came in to the library and they knew how to do everything they needed to do, but at least they knew what the words meant, some of them, and they knew what questions they needed to ask, and so on. And that was a huge improvement of the situation. And one of the first things that really sold me on the value of instructional video, I was working as a systems librarian at the time.
Yeah. So I was hoping, because I like the idea of giving a tour. And in fact, I do that in my tutorial already. Yeah. So just here's the website. Like, I don't think people know we have one. They don't know where the library is. I mean, like basic stuff like that.
What? We have a library? What?
Exactly. Oh, you'd be surprised. We had a marketing class.
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
They were second-year students, and they didn't know where the library was. It was sad. It was really, it was eye-opening.
Welcome to the real world. Yeah, I know. But anything you can do to make this process a little bit more inclusive, a little bit more obvious for them. And I love the idea of them having to watch the video and get a grade, even if you don't care what they make. It just verifies that they've watched the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And when I tried doing
in Canvas Studio, you can fix it so they won't know when the questions are coming. And they can't, if they skip over them, then they won't give them the score. So it's a way of the best thing about those quizzes in Canvas Studio videos is it's a way to ensure that someone actually watched the video. And we use that in our on-demand Flex site. We make people watch the video with the questions in it, and they have to answer the questions, and they have to show us at the end with a screenshot that shows that they got 80% or better of the questions right before we'll be comfortable with them awarding themselves the Flex credit without actually, being in a live session. it's all honor system, but it gives us some accountability. And that's exactly what you're talking about here. You know that the students have done, and the students will know that they're being held accountable, so they're much more likely to actually watch the video.
Yeah. You can't imagine. I tried to do this years ago with English classes, and when I was letting them into the classroom before the instructor showed up, and I asked, hey, did you guys watch the video? Yeah, a lot of people were logging in and trying to, go through the tutorial, like, okay, this isn't quite what I wanted, but
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll take what I can get, right? I
Yeah.
do, been there, got the t-shirt.
yeah. Yeah, I'm always trying to figure out the best way to do that.
Oh, and yeah, and we have these wonderful tools. There's usually some way to bend them into shape a little bit to get them to do what we want them to do. So let me think about that, though, how the students, to make the process a little bit more automatic, where you're not depending on students to take a screenshot of something.
Yeah.
So they can do that on a Mac or a PC or on a smartphone, for that matter, very easily. Might require some tutorials on how to watch the tutorial, how to get the credit for watching the tutorial, but that's doable too. So,
Or is there some sort of, when they sign in to the course,
right,
some sort of way to ask them which linked course they're in, let's say? I guess, I don't know if it would be considered like a learning community. Oh, man. Does Canvas, okay, does our district do linked courses in Canvas for the learning communities?
yes,
So how does that work?
they merge course enrollments.
Okay.
So that's not something, probably, let's see. It can be done, I mean, but there's a limit to, I think there's a limit to how many courses you can merge the enrollments together for.
It might be too technical.
And well,
No,
it's something Canvas will do for us. If you want 2 or more section Canvas course shells merged together, there's the enrollments merged together, you can just go to the Canvas help and call the hotline and tell them which courses you want merged together, and they'll do it. But I think there is a practical limit to the number of courses whose enrollments you can merge together. And there are some other implications to that. So that's probably not going to be a real convenient way to do that. And then you'd still have the issue of instructors having to go in and look for their own grades. But on the other hand, if you're merging courses together, students from different sections are put into separate virtual sections inside the merged Canvas course. So an instructor could go in and look at just their students and wouldn't have to separate them from everyone else's. So that, just brainstorming here, that would make it easier for the English instructor to go in and find the grades from their students without having to search for them name by name. How many English professors do you think might want to do this?
I don't know. I know at least
how many are there?
Oh my gosh. Well, at City, that department has like 60 instructors.
Oh yeah, that's probably
but I don't
capabilities of Canvas to merge sections together.
Yeah, but I don't think, I mean, we wouldn't get near that.
You wouldn't get near that many of them trying it.
No. And
on the other hand, once you get on that horse,
exactly, we don't want to have death by
if it suddenly becomes fantastically popular, you might have to change your paradigm or how you're implementing it. And you hate to have to do that midstream.
Part of this is born of the fact that we have 4 librarians and 16,000 students.
Yes, I hear you. Just feeling just a little outnumbered, are you?
Yes. Yeah. And even to give them some kind of baseline of library skills.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm not even talking Library Science 101. That's a course. That's a
Right.
right? This is
Right.
just a tutorial to either get them on their way before they go to an in-person or Zoom. But I think instructors, in fact, I've told some instructors, hey, I've got this tutorial, and they're like, great. And then we never hear from them again.
Right.
Like, you know,
You
so-
don't know if they're watching it or not, or using it or not.
or they're using it instead of bringing their class to a session.
To a session, yeah.
Yeah, there's you're kind of balancing out.
Yeah. Well, if you get to them one way or another, you're accomplishing something. But
exactly.
but it'd be nice to have some accountability and know who had taken it and who hadn't.
Right.
I really like that idea, and embedding the video, the quizzes in the Canvas Studio videos is an ideal way to do that. But the trick is getting the instructors access to the grades in a convenient and non-time consuming manner is the trick. And we've had some ideas here, but of course, putting it on the student is one good way to distribute the task.
Yeah. And actually,
But-
they used to do that for orientation, like for the when the students first came to City, they had to sit down and watch some really long video because they'd come to the library and do it. And I think they had to take a picture and then bring it to, I don't know, student services, I guess.
Yeah.
And to prove
Or
that
get a librarian to sign off on it or something like that. Yeah.
we don't do that. But they would come to the library because that was where the computers were, right? That's the lab. So yeah,
Gotcha.
I know they had that. And I think they're
Well, yeah, the student could always just take a picture of the computer screen and email that to their instructor. They probably do that every day. They're sending pictures to each other and so on. God knows what. So
that's what they were doing. That's what they were doing. So yeah.
yeah. So there's got to be some way to put that, to distribute that part of the task onto the student. So it's just a tiny task for each student, where if the instructor had to do all of it, it would be a massive task. So, yeah. And if the instructor makes that a requirement, then it's something the student needs to know how to do.
Yeah.
And we could provide tutorials for the students on how to do it.
Here's a tutorial on how to do this tutorial.
Absolutely. If you have any trouble figuring this out, here's a tutorial that will show you exactly how to do it. Many of them wouldn't need it.
Yeah.
And you just tell them to take a picture of the screen and send the screenshot to your or send that image to your instructor. Probably 85% of them would know how to do that and wouldn't need a tutorial. But you could have a tutorial for the ones who are not as technically astute, or who didn't have a cell phone with a camera, which is someone who don't. So you have to allow for those possibilities. But those would be exceptions that could be handled on a manual basis by the instructor. The student could just send an email or a message to the instructor through Canvas saying, I took it, but I couldn't figure out how to get that to you. And the instructor could go and, if they had access to your course, could go in and look for that student and see that the student had done it. And they'd only have to do that occasionally, and that would make it probably a more sustainable situation, a scalable task. Just brainstorming.
Yeah. Okay.
I love the idea though, and I think it would be a tremendous service to offer. So thinking about it.
Yeah.
I do have a tutorial for you.
Yeah.
On how to create a Canvas Studio quiz. If you just want to play with that.
Okay.
Let's see. It is quizzing. Quizzing in Canvas Studio.
Oh, quizzing in Canvas Studio. Okay.
Yeah. Did a session on that back in May. And let me put that in the chat tool. But that ain't the chat tool. Gee.
Cool. Oops, thank
You
you.
can tell what that one is from the URL. I'm trying to think if I've got a tutorial, that one's about an hour long. As you know, it's one of these sessions where I bloviate and so on. I wonder if I've got a more focused tutorial on that. I probably need one.
Well, I can scrub through the
Yeah,
stuff.
you can scrub through it and find it, but it would probably be a good thing to have. And I may have it. I may just not have named it. Just try quiz. Got a lot of tutorials with the word quiz in the title or in the description. There's the quizzing, taking quiz. Adding quizzes to Canvas Studio videos. That was another one from 2020.
Is Quizlet something different? I'm seeing. Quizlet.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
It is an online quizzing tool.
Oh, okay.
But it's not like to my knowledge, it's not a video quizzing tool. There is another one though called, oh God. it's one that works with a YouTube video.
Oh.
And it's, oh,
But, you know, it doesn't have to be video.
okay.
I'm
It could just be a Canvas quiz. Yeah.
It's just something that would make sure that people read through stuff and looked at the darn thing. I mean, I'm sure there are ways of
Just a few simple questions that they'd have to have read it to answer them. But if they've read it, they certainly would have to work hard not to be able to answer the question.
Yeah.
You know, it begins to look like I don't have that little basic tutorial. Okay. Picking up my high-tech note-taking device and adding that to my list of tutorials I need to make.
Giving you things to do.
Basic Canvas Studio quizzing video. It's just one I hadn't gotten around to making. It's on there, but it's not in as efficient a format as it might be for viewing later.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll see. It's on my list anyway. Thank you for pointing out that or helping me figure out that I had done that. Okay.
Cool.
All right. I love that. And I'll think about about some way to get those certifications, those grades back to the instructors efficiently. I'm thinking probably having the students just submit some sort of proof that they've done that. And, you know, give them a couple of options, like either taking a picture of the screen or taking a screenshot if they know how to do that, and emailing it to their instructor. And then the instructor could make that a Canvas assignment in their Canvas course.
Mm-hmm.
And they could go through very quickly and see who'd done it and who hadn't and evaluate it. So, and that would give the students a way to get that information to the instructor without having it pollute the instructor's email inbox, you know, with, you know, and have it get mixed up with all the other spam that they get from the district and things like that. So that would make it much more manageable for the English instructor. And make it very easy for them to incorporate that into their grading scheme if they so chose.
I'm wondering, as time goes on, because we're starting to slide back into going on campus,
right?
And so you may, I don't know if this is true, but you're probably going to get more instructors not using Canvas anymore. I don't know. I don't
really know.
I mean, it could be. Because in the early days, you know, people didn't want to use Canvas, even though everyone had access to it. It was only those who were teaching online were going to ever do it. So the silver lining of the pandemic was everyone was forced to
It's
go
a
online.
wind that blows no one good. It actually has been good in some ways for
Yes.
online instruction. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And how are people going to adjust as we move back into a different environment where there's much more on face-to-face instruction, at least, but surveys that we have been done of district students suggest that the students like having that kind of access to information online, and that they rate that as something that is a positive experience for them. So people who just decide to go back to their old ways and not put anything online may get some pushback from their students and or their instructional administrators about that.
That's true.
So I suspect that we will see a much increased usage of tools like Canvas and Zoom relative to what we saw before the pandemic. But how much more is we're just going to have to wait and see. But on the other hand, an instructor who wanted to accomplish something like this has all the tools that they need.
Right.
And probably has the training to do it now, because our penetration with that training course that we do is increased exponentially.
Wow.
There are just not that many faculty out there who are still teaching who haven't been through that training course, the Canvas training course.
Wow.
Because they were required to in order to keep being employed. And so at least most of them have the skills, and the ones who don't, of course, that training course is running right now. They can always enroll in it and take it if it's something they want to do. And if it's something they don't want to do, they're not going to do it anyway, and we can't make them drink. But we can sure make sure that if they're thirsty, they have some options.
But if the course is on the ground, then the instructor can only optionally tell the students that they can go to the Canvas side of it and get the syllabus or get downloads to, an enhancement, because otherwise it would have to be.
The instructor is perfectly within the instructor's purview to require the students to access material on Canvas, even if it's a classroom course.
Really? But wouldn't that be considered like a hybrid or something? Wouldn't you have to tell the student?
It's considered a web enhanced course. And which means that there's no reduction in seat time, but that doesn't mean that the instructor can't require the students to use Canvas.
But is that indicated in the schedule as a web?
That's indicated in the definition of the various course types. It's something they're revamping right now, as a matter of fact, those definitions. But yeah, we've never had a situation in the past where an instructor who wanted to use Canvas as a supplement with their face-to-face course faced any restrictions in so doing. That's a matter of academic freedom. If they want to require their students to access Canvas, they can do so.
But don't they need to tell the students beforehand that they will be required to do that? Or maybe it's in the syllabus?
Given that all students are given Canvas accounts and so on, I don't think there's any requirement to warn them in advance that they're in the 21st century.
Okay. See, I'm still working off of the before times. So
yeah, I hear you. I've never heard of a situation where an instructor wanted to use Canvas and was prevented from doing so by their administrator or whatever.
Well, I'm just thinking more along the lines of the students. So from a student's point of view, if they didn't know they needed to have a computer, I mean, I just want to take a blah, blah, blah class.
Well, in that event, they can access it from their smartphone. Canvas works wonderfully for smartphones. And if they don't have either a smartphone or a computer, they can go into the library and use a computer there. Okay. So it's not like anybody's being required to do something that is beyond their capability to do.
Yeah, I know.
Or that they don't have access to. It's certainly more convenient if they have their own device, but it's not the only way they can do it.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, and of course, different administrators may have different viewpoints on that as well. Yeah. I'm just going on the basis of our prior experience.
Yeah.
Circumstance, and that's never, to my knowledge, been a problem. We have instructors who give all face-to-face instructors who used to give all their quizzes on campus.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
the students had to take the quizzes that way. You know, if you want a grade, find a way to do it.
Oh, wow. Geez.
And it is, you know, that might have been more of a concern 15, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, given the ubiquity of online technology and so on, it's reasonable to expect that any student could access information online.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
should be, and would be certainly something they need to know how to do before we graduate them and certify them having met the requirements of a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Certificate. There would be a dereliction on our part if we hadn't required them to participate in that way, because you can't even renew a driver's license now without going online hardly.
That's true.
So it's it's a different world.
Yeah.
And a different group of students as well who have grown up doing this from I'm not very much of a fan of the term digital native.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many of them are not that native, but they've certainly grown up being exposed to these sorts of things, unless they've lived in a hermit cabin in Dogpatch and the North Woods or whatever. They've certainly been exposed to this technology, so it's not nearly as much of a concern as it might have once been.
Well, I had just actually last weekend I had a discussion with an ESL instructor. I mean, these were the issues that these students were having, because a lot of them came from other countries. They had issues with the language, and some of them were failing miserably. And she at one point said, "Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a test. Would you rather have it in paper? Or would you rather have it online?" And before that, she had been just giving it online. And a lot of the students said they wanted it in paper.
Yeah.
Because they just couldn't deal with the technology and the language, and the culture. It's so much different. Yeah. So, I mean,
on the other hand, continuing education is teaching ESL classes now in high flex mode.
Oh, wow.
They've got a huge pilot running, and the first courses they converted to high flex were ESL courses. They're not offering them all that way, I don't think, but they're running this huge pilot where there's some students are sitting in the classroom and some are online, and that changes from day to day. It just depends on where they want to consume that day's class session.
Wow.
And it's working quite well for them. Not that there haven't been challenges, but it's proving to be very, very effective, I think, and quite popular with the students because it gives them another option. But we do have to accommodate those students who are.
Yeah. And this was a different district.
With technology.
This was an instructor at a completely different district, not even different college. I'm talking different district. So.
But I'm sure the experience would be valid here as well. I mean, I'm not doubting that. So
interesting.
And of course that means it's incumbent upon us to provide even more support for students in this regard.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a mixed track record with that. So
yeah. I'll certainly be interested.
We do have student tutorials on our on-demand site for tutorials for students. So. And we're always happy to add more when a need arises. Always looking for good ideas.
Yeah. And the technology changes, as you saw.
Boy, does it. And usually it gets easier.
Yeah. It's a good thing that Flipgrid changed their name to Flip and not something completely different, because all of your tutorials have the word flip in it. You can search.
Probably I've got to go back and redo those tutorials.
Yeah. Oops.
Well, you saw I couldn't get into my Flipgrid. I managed to log into the account, but my integrations with my Canvas courses were not working anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's probably because of some changes in some URLs somewhere or something like that. And I've got to go check that out because I'll, I'll be doing another seminar on Flipgrid at some point because it's such a terrific tool.
Yeah.
And I got to get that working again. That was an unpleasant surprise in the middle of a session, not for the first time.
Yikes. Well, thank you so much for all this info.
Oh, gosh. Thanks so much for coming and having all these wonderful questions. It's fascinating.
But I made your video into like an hour longer than it should have been.
That's all right. They'll pay me for it anyway. You don't have to worry about that.
You edit them down to like cover.
I'm sorry?
Are you going to edit it down to what it was just supposed to cover for the topic?
No,
today?
usually I just, what I do is I'll make a table of contents for the video. And that shows where different things are covered in the video so people can find them quickly if they want to. And the last entry in the table of contents is question and answer.
Okay.
So they'll know they can, at that point, they can stop. But very often the questions and answers are more useful in the content than the prepared content, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because we get into, wild other things. Some librarian may find this discussion very interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So it's valuable information, and people can scrub through it and look for what they're looking for and so on. But they don't have to watch the question and answer period if they don't care to. So
Great. Well, thank you so much. Good
Well,
talking
thanks.
to you.
It's so good to see you.
Yes. Have a good one.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.